Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Harmony Gardening. I'm Kristen, and today I'm going to be giving you 7 tips to help maintain your garden. We've been on vacation for 9 days. We went to Crescent City, California, and we got to see the redwoods and the ocean. We also got to visit my aunt who lives near Reno, Nevada. So we got to go up to Lake Tahoe and up to Donner Pass. It was a really fun vacation, and I'll be posting a video either before or after this, kind of depending on where this falls, of all of our vacation fun that we had with some videos, some pictures. It was wonderful to be away. So while we were away, we had our niece and nephew watching after the animals and also watching after our garden. And a lot of growth happened in those 9 days, including a lot of weeds. So there's a lot of maintenance that I actually need to do. Let me come and show you. I know a lot of people have been asking how this Three Sisters bed is doing, and it is doing great. I mean, look how tall the corn is getting, and you can see that the corn is doing what it's supposed to, and it has the beans wrapped around it. But also the sunflowers have beans wrapped around them too. So I've been out here just a little bit since I've been back, because we've been back for a few days now, trying to kind of help the beans find a place where they can grow up. And I did learn one thing: plant the corn first, and maybe about a week or 2 later, plant the beans. That way the corn gets a little bit taller, because these beans are growing way faster than I expected. And then the melons are up too. They're growing slow, which is okay, because they're going to trail through this bed. But I have a maintenance to do in here. I did put down the soaker hose, but this area over here, let me move the sprinkler out of the way. Back here, this whole area is covered in baby elm trees. They are everywhere along here. Plus, I also have a whole bunch of volunteer tomatillos like I did last year. I've got tomatoes. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. And I've also have some borage growing over here. There's so much stuff in this area of the garden that I actually do not want. I do want to save some of the tomatillos, but the tomatoes, every time I've had a volunteer tomato come up in my yard, they haven't tasted great. So I have to take that out too. And plus, I have a whole bunch of herbs that have gone to flower and they're not looking so good that I need to cut down. There is so much to do. So we're going to get on to our very first tip. So the first tip is to work early in the morning or later in the evening while it's still cool outside. If you live in an area where it gets up to be in the 90s and sometimes even in the hundreds, it is too hot to work out here during the day. So you can see by the dappled light that's all around us, this is really early morning for me. It's about 8 o'clock, and normally I get out here about 6. So we were a little bit later this morning. We kind of slept in. There was a fire last night, and so we were up kind of late, kind of just watching that and everything. But the firefighters did an amazing job, and they got it out. Just check my Facebook or Instagram pages. I've got plenty of information there. So that is a huge tip, especially for me, because I do not do well in the heat. So get out early in the morning or later in the evening to work in your garden. The next tip is don't try to work on your garden all in one day, because that can be a lot, especially if you have a garden as large as mine. So what I am doing is I am picking a section of my garden every single day to work on. So my peas are definitely sprawling everywhere. So what I need to do is I just need to kind of like help them get attached and work on this bed a little bit. I might have to actually get some clips out here and clip them to the cage, because everything when we came home was all down into the Swiss chard and the kale, and I still need to give them some sunlight. So just pick a section. Like today, I'll probably work on this bed and the one right behind me with all of the squash and the huckleberries and the tomatillos and the broccoli and such growing in it. But I don't want to overwhelm myself. And if I'm out here, this is going to take several hours. This is a whole entire day project just in itself. And that's just this area. I still have the whole entire rest of the yard to work in. So go ahead and pick one area every day to work in. Since we've been gone for 9 days, I have not deadheaded anything, and that's my next tip. You want to deadhead your flowers and your herbs every single day and keep up on it. So with me being gone for 9 days, I actually have quite a bit of deadheading to do. Almost all of my flower pots need it. Now let me show you the herbs over here that also need to be deadheaded. There are certain ones like lavender that you don't deadhead, but if you want your basil to grow nice and bushy, you actually want to remove the flowers. Gotta get the chive flowers out of the way here. So you could see that there's quite a few flowers at the top, and you actually want to go down pretty far and take that all off. Yes, you'll be taking some leaves off with it, but that's okay. So go ahead and just deadhead all of your flowers and your herbs every single day, and then this doesn't become quite as large of a chore as what I have to do today. The next tip I want to give you is to spot water as needed. Now I have some hollyhocks started in the pots over here and some other flowers, and these dry out really fast. So I actually need to water these by hand pretty much every single day. Now we just watered last night, so the most of the rest of the garden, like over here, I can actually see is still moist. But if you're unsure, just give it the finger test. You want to stick it down to your first knuckle, and if you feel moisture, then you don't need to water, and that is very wet, so I definitely don't need to water. But in my pots that dry out fast, I will probably be watering those later on today. The next tip that I want to give you goes along with deadheading. You actually want to keep your herbs pruned back. Now you can see that this isn't looking so good, and it's pretty much done flowering. So what you want to do is you want to prune back your herbs. Now for chives, you could just go ahead and prune them way back because they will grow back. And this will make them grow better. Plus, this is becoming kind of a unsightly mess with all of my chives, and I need to give them a good haircut. And I will go ahead and I will pull out the chives that are usable out of this and get rid of all the ones that are brown, because you can see there's a lot of brown in here and they just don't look so good anymore. But I do this several times a year when I need chives or when they start to kind of look unsightly like that. The next tip I want to give you is do not put off doing quick chores. One of my worst habits, as you'll see below me, is after I water, I just leave the hose laying wherever. And if it's on the grass, then it leaves like indents in the grass, and then the grass starts to turn yellow, or I leave her sprinklers out. Another chore that I've been really putting off is I should have pruned back the honeysuckle a long time ago. And I'm just like, it's fine. But actually it's not fine. And I really do need to do this. So I need to get out here and start pruning off all the dead. And this honestly does not take me long at all. So every day pick one of those chores that you've kind of been neglecting and just go ahead and do them. It really doesn't take long. The last tip that I want to give you today is weed every single day. As soon as you see a weed, pull it, or else you'll end up having everything look like this. I have ash trees, not elm trees. I said elm trees earlier. We had elm trees at our last house. Or else you'll have this. And they were actually starting to come up right before we left on vacation, but I was so busy getting ready for vacation that I kind of neglected doing this. Now, because it has been neglected for over 9 days. Hi, Lola. I have a lot of weeding to do in my garden, not just here in the new area that we put in. I have a lot of weeding to do there as well. So this is going to take me a while. But if you stay up on it every single day, it's not that bad. There's a few weeds here and there, and you take care of them really quick, then they don't get quite so invasive like this. So go ahead, when you see a weed, when you're out in your garden, go ahead and pull it. So it's starting to get hot out here, and it only took Donnie and I an hour to get this whole entire bed cleaned up. You can see that the path on the other side is weed free, but not cat free. but we trimmed down all of the herbs. Like here is the chives all trimmed back, and that'll give everything around it a little bit more sunlight too. And I trimmed out some of the yarrow down here and just kind of really cleaned it up. And I found we have some marigolds that have sprouted on their own, a couple of sunflowers, and those are the tomatillos I'm going to leave. I'm going to do like last year, and I put the cage, but it's starting to get hot. It only took an hour of Donnie and I's time, and we cleaned up this whole bed. Plus, look at all the herbs I was able to harvest. I will be cleaning these up inside, and we got a lot of basil. So with just an hour's worth of work, you can clean out a whole entire section before it gets too terribly hot in the morning. So this is how you can apply the tips that I gave you in this video. I hope that these 7 tips have helped inspire you to be able to maintain your garden and keep on top of everything. Here's another 8th tip. So Donnie, you're going to help me with all of this, right?
Yes, yeah.
He's nodding his head yes. So that's another great tip too, is if you can have a helper out here with you in the garden, it does make things go a lot quicker, especially when it hasn't been taken care of in 9 days like ours has. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Happy gardening, everyone.